One of the trickiest things for buyers to navigate in the home buying process is how to coordinate selling their existing house while trying to buy a new house. It used to be that the chances of getting an offer accepted contingent upon you successfully selling your current home had a fairly decent chance of working out. But now, in our current market, which is basically a seller's market on steroids, well, your chance of successfully getting an offer accepted contingent upon the sale of your current house is pretty much non-existent, especially in a multiple offer situation. If you put yourself in the seller's shoes, it's easy to see why. An offer contingent upon the sale of another property is risky for a seller because he or she has no control over that transaction. Is your house appropriately priced? Are you keeping it in show-worthy condition? Will you accept an offer that's contingency-free, or will everyone need to wait on your buyers clearing their contingencies? Essentially, setting up a domino effect waiting to play out with a lot of chances for someone down the line to mess up the chain. Why would a seller accept an offer with so many unknowns when there's a large buyer pool willing to write much cleaner offers? So, what's a homeowner who wants to move supposed to do? Sell your current house and find a short-term rental? Sell and live in your uncle's camper? Sell and move into your parents' basement? None of those options are ideal, and they all involve a lot of extra work. Unless you find the packing, unpacking, and moving process enjoyable. I don't. Today, we're talking with Pete Johnson, a mortgage lender with GreenState Credit Union, about some lending options that enable you to write an offer on a property and not have to tie it to the sale of your current house. Hi, Pete.
Hey there.
First, let's talk about bridge loans, which essentially means qualifying to own two homes at once. Walk us through how bridge loans work.
A bridge loan is one of the more confusing things for people to understand, but are really pretty simple. A bridge loan is really just a second mortgage or line of credit that's taken out against your existing house, so we can pull that equity out ahead of time before the old house sells, so we can access that equity. That's really what we're trying to do, so that we can use it for down payment on the new house. In a normal situation, if you were selling your current house on or before the day you buy your new one, you have those funds available, and then you'd be able to just bring them to your closing. What the bridge loan allows you to do is get that equity early, use it as down payment on your new. And then when your house sells, essentially what you're doing is just paying that loan off. It's actually part of the payoff with your primary mortgage. So the first and second mortgage, which is your bridge loan, gets paid off and it just goes away. Bridge loans can also be helpful if you're just trying to get a little extra cash for your down payment as well. So let's say you had 10% down to put on your house. You needed to try to get to that 20% magic number, which usually gets you a little bit better rate. That's kind of the magic number for a conventional 30-year fixed rate anyway. That bridge loan would allow you to pull that equity out, get to the 20%, which might get you a better interest rate, better term.
Okay, one stumbling block some buyers have with bridge loans is not qualifying if they're moving across state lines. If a lender doesn't have a lending branch in the state where the original house is located, the buyer doesn't qualify for a bridge loan, right? So what other options are there, Pete?
So that is a problem. Each market is different. So each market's different in how they handle bridge loans. Bridge loans don't tend to be the most profitable type of loan for a bank. They generally, if they do a bridge loan, they also want to do the first mortgage, which may not be an option if you're moving into a different state. You're typically using a local lender there. The first thing that we'll try to do is maybe find you a lender that does offer it. That's the easiest thing to do, is try to find a lender that may offer a bridge loan option in the state where you're at. If that doesn't work, we've got some in-house options, some loans that we keep here at GreenState that are 100% financing. In other words, they don't require any down payment, and so no bridge loan is needed. And so what we'll usually do is do 100% financing. In other words, put no money down, and we might use that as a temporary loan just until your house sells. You're able to pull that equity that was trapped in it. We turn around and use that as down payment when we go to refinance the loan. We might convert the loan. If the loan that we get, the temporary loan that we get you is good enough, we might leave you in that loan. But if you want to convert to maybe a 30-year fixed rate or some other type of loan, or a 15-year fixed rate, once you have the equity freed up from your house, we'll go ahead and refinance that loan. There are a little bit more costs involved with that two-step process, but generally it'll be worth it for the convenience of being able to move early.
Exactly, yeah. And simply being able to get a house in contract.
That's right, that's right.
Let's talk about debt to income ratios. Normally, lenders have guidelines for front-end and back-end debt to income ratios. Is it possible for a lender to just temporarily override those rules when a buyer's in the process of trying to sell their home and buy?
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of the bigger problems that you have when you're trying to own two houses at the same time or trying to get qualified to own two houses at the same time, is that most people can afford their primary home, but when we tried to add the payment of their old home to that, the overall debt ratio is too high, especially with some of the other stuff you have, the credit card, stuff like that. Typically with most mortgage lenders, not to get too much in the weeds here, but the debt ratio that we like to see is about 43%. So we don't like to see 43% or more of your gross income going out to pay items that are on your credit report, like credit cards, car loans, student loans, house payments, etc. Once we get above that debt ratio, it becomes a little bit hard. Most lenders, especially some of the bigger banks, will pretty much disqualify you at about a 43% debt ratio. Sometimes you can get up to maybe 45. We actually have programs here at GreenState that'll allow you to go up to maybe 60%, as high as 60, maybe even 65%, if you're willing to hold back some reserves. And what I mean by that, let's say you have a house payment of $1,000 a month on your prior home, and you're trying to own two houses at the same time, so you can get that offer in quickly, get that offer in non-contingent, I should say. What we'll do is we'll hold back maybe 6 to 12 months payment reserves on your old house. So instead of bringing maybe just your 20% down payment, which we might do with a bridge loan, we would hold back maybe $6,000 or 6 months payments on your prior home in reserve. And this isn't money that you're actually bringing and having to put more down. It's not money that you're not going to get back again. It's just money that we're showing that you have, so that we know that you have enough payments to cover yourself in the event that it takes a little while for your house to sell. And obviously this is not something that we're kind of doing for everybody. Every situation is a little bit different. You've got to be within that 60% debt ratio, typically speaking. And also you want to be comfortable with it, right? Owning two houses at the same time can be a little bit stressful. But if you know your house is going to sell, you're in a hot market, you've got one of those properties that you know is going to sell in 2 seconds.
Which is pretty much
pretty safe.
any single family
all properties
house.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, then it becomes a pretty safe option, generally speaking. And then once your house sells, we refund the reserve money back to you, and you can use it for whatever you want.
So a couple questions on that. Who makes the determination if your primary house, the one you're in right now, is going to sell quickly?
That's your agent, your realtor. Definitely go to the realtors for that and ask you whether that's going to occur or not. So that's kind of an important determination. That's usually what I'm telling everybody when I'm meeting with people for pre-approvals, is that you got to make sure that the property that you're trying to sell isn't something that's unusual, maybe super unique. Maybe it's a very rural house. Some of the rural markets don't sell as quickly. This is not something you want to do for a property you know is going to be on the market for maybe 6 to 12 months, because obviously you're going to be making both payments on the house in that time frame. So you got to be comfortable with the possibility that your house may stay on the market a little bit longer.
Okay, so one more question for you. When you say in reserve, does that mean that my 6 months of house payments goes into a separate account that I no longer have access to while I'm in this transition period?
Yeah, partly right. It basically goes into what we call a secure savings account. So it's an account we keep here at GreenState. You technically don't have access to it for anything other than the house payments. So the account is intended for the house payments. So we hold that money in the account. If you need it to make your house payments in the meantime, in the event that your house does take maybe a few more months to sell or weeks than you thought it was going to take, we've got that money available. You can always use it. And then whatever is left at the point that your house sells just gets refunded back to you. And we have a lot of people that sometimes don't even use any of that money. The house sells right away, and then we can give it back to you.
Thanks, Pete. If you would like to talk to Pete at GreenState about mortgage lending and your particular situation, whether it's selling and then buying or just buying, you can find all of his contact information down below in the description box. If you'd like to talk to me about buying, selling, or relocating here in the greater Iowa City area, you'll also find all of my contact information down below. Also, if you're watching on your phone, all you need to do is tap the title of this video and the description box will open right up. Now, Pete, this is how I end every video. Yeah. We're gonna snap, and I'll say, hey, it's been fun. I'll catch you later, and snap.
Yeah,
Ready?
Let's do it.
Hey, it's been fun. I'll catch you later.